Yeah, last week was definitely a lot of good trades were given out inside of the rapid signal room. Everything was moving, with the trend last week. This week it's going to be tough because we're swing trading. That's what we're going to cover on the call in the webinar. So when you're swing trading, once things are at those ideal entry points and then they move to make, a new lower low or a new low, then you gotta wait for the next kind of correction so you can get in on the next move. That's if you're trading with the trend. Obviously if you want to trade against the trend, you can start to take some more like intraday setups and whatnot. But what we're looking for, it's going to be, as I kind of look through some of my pairs, there's not going to be too many setups this week. We're going to have to see things move back into zones. So we'll go over, all the zones that we're looking for things to go into, because the whole purpose is so you guys can, get some ideas out of this that you can actually use.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and again, to add to that, if you guys have any questions, there is a chat at the bottom. If you don't know, drop any questions in there as we're going through, and we'll answer them.
Yes, sir. Yes, you can go ahead and share up.
All right, I'll start sharing here. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. All right, guys. So for those of you that don't know, if you are new to this, we always start off on just starting off seeing where the dollar's at, right? So this is DXY. We just analyze this. We don't trade this, we're just trying to figure out where the dollar is going, where it's been, and what we could see for the week ahead. Because we're pretty much just grabbing trend from this time frame. So we could see on the daily that we do have key resistance up here at 93.8. Key support was established down at 90. There's also a major level right here at 91.5. And we are in the upper half of this, right? Definitely very bullish. It's got strong characteristics of a bullish trend, higher highs, higher lows. That is continuing with that all the way up into resistance now. So we actually are at the high right at 93.8. So it's either going to pull back. We're looking for it to pull back and continue with this trend, or it's going to, maybe make a push even higher, as of right now. So let's drop down with that trend in mind. Definitely bullish. Let's go to the 4 hour. So it's always good to analyze the dollar because it makes up for, a high percentage of all trade. So usually if you see the dollar doing something significant, like last week, a huge, rally, a lot of the market is going to follow. A lot of major pairs, all USD pairs, they're going to react as the dollar is. So it's always good to kind of see what this is doing, right? You don't want to get caught off sides. You don't want to get blindsided by some dollar spike and then all your trades are out of whack because you weren't aware of it. So it's good to, analyze and be aware of what the dollar is actually doing. So like we said last week, very bullish, right? Huge rally up to resistance as we expected, because we had broken back into this range, right? The low being at 92.5, the high at 93.8. This was a range that was established quite a while ago. And, we were made aware of it again as we're truly breaking back into this area. So, it's doing exactly what we thought. So now we're expecting it to pull back, quite a bit. This is a little bit overextended. I'd like to see a nice higher low somewhere in this area. This would be the most ideal area. And then hopefully it'll continue, if there is a strong higher low with bullish setups, it'll confirm that, and then it'll continue higher. And we'll be bullish, or we'll continue bullish on the dollar, right? But if it does pull back, let's say it breaks this level, it starts consolidating and drops down towards 92.5. This is definitely a possibility as well, because it can still drop to this level and generally be bullish on the higher time frames, right? We know this is a range. We knew that price action struggled in the past to break this area, and it bounced actually quite a bit. So it's a high volume range, but yeah. So just something to be aware of. Thing could definitely fall back to a lower level. But that's DXY. Let's move ahead over to AU. Okay, let's do that. We'll do the same thing. Daily time frame. All right, hold on. I'll share my screen too. Oh, not allowed. Hold on, you gotta let me share it.
I got you.
Dude, I'm liking the hat though.
We
gotta get some Forex League bucket hats. It's actually a pretty good thing right there. I like that.
Little bucket hat.
Suede and everything. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I want to join the party. What's up? We got the suede hat going on. All right, let's keep it going here. So daily time frame on AU. we are bearish now. I mean, I'm gonna say recently bearish because just in the scope of this daily time frame, it was bullish for quite a while, right? And then back here in June, end of June, we saw this transition. So all this consolidation ended when we saw the break through the weekly at 0.76, right? Came back up, gave us that lower high that we always look for, continued with a nice pattern, and then just went bearish from there, right? Continued lower lows, lower highs, nice consolidation, entry points, and now back down towards a new low. So let's just make ourselves aware. So clearly it's bearish. Let's just make ourselves aware of the next significant support level, and that would be this monthly down here at 0.7 flat, right? Huge level, lots of consolidation there in the past, big reactions. That's where we're headed right now. It looks like right before we'll see nothing has caught this falling price action yet. The monthly is probably going to be the most likely zone to then catch price action. So that's where we're headed. That's what our target is. Right, definitely bearish. Let's go down to the 4-hour time frame now and just see where we're at. Get everything in a good order here. Expand this a little bit. All right, so you can clearly see last week, the dollar went bullish. So we saw AU, because they're inversely correlated, go bearish, right? This consolidation ended. The thing absolutely tanked after a last touch of resistance up here near 0.74, and then it dropped. Great opportunity. The analysis did actually highlight that last week as well, which was pretty cool. Big drop. But now we're at a low, right? Overextended, clearly no structure is formed. So we can't take a trade. We need to see structure form, or we need to wait for it to finish doing its thing, right? So right now, if this is the true low, we threw a fib on it from conviction right here. This was the start of the drop that started this entire fall. Okay, so went to the low. If this is the real low, we're looking for it to pull back into this area right here, 0.72, which is acting as key resistance, and then also our 38.2% fib level as of right now. So this would be great, just to show you guys the idea behind it. Want to see it pull back up, maybe consolidate a little bit, and then come back down, continue bearish into our negative fib levels and monthly support, as we showed on the daily, right? So this is definitely possible. It also could do something like this. So technically, yes, it could pull back all the way to 0.73 and still be bearish. This is also a confluence area. Our 61.8% fib levels there. So a nice reversal here would also be valid. But just because the 38.2 is much closer, and this is also a pretty strong confluence area, this is the most likely option as of right now, right? This obviously could change if it breaks higher, and then we'll adjust our analysis from there, okay? Now, for us to consider AU bullish, it's really got to pull back all this. It's got to, erase all the damage here. It's got to go all the way back up into this range, clear 0.73, and show some higher lows above. That would be the first step to considering AU bullish, right? Because even here, right, even if we break back into this area, it's still a prior range. We know that there's potential for this to just kind of mess around before it decides to do something. It's not necessarily going to give us the higher low and then take off, blow through other resistance levels. Just something to be aware of. Just showing you how really bearish AU is and has been. Okay, it's got to recover quite a bit for us to be interested in long opportunities. All right, so that's AU. Let's move over to AJ. So we know they're going to share a similar sentiment. AU and AJ are usually, pretty correlated, but let's just go to the daily for a second. Definitely bearish here as well. As we saw, similar correlation as we saw in AU. And then it went bearish here around end of June, mid-July on this one, actually. We did have an attempted break early June, but it really didn't finish consolidating and, really cleared this weekly until the beginning of, July here. So nice wick to the upside, confirmed the break, and then just shot to the downside, lower lows up to lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, and so on and so on. So definitely bearish, but even increasingly so, because the volume here on AJ has just been insane volume. So let's go down to the 4-hour with that trend in mind. Also major level here on the monthly on AJ around this monthly level at 765, as you can see right here. So something to be aware of. This is definitely a potential target. Also lines up with our target fib levels. So could be something there. Let's get into it on the 4-hour. Okay, so this is what I was saying when the volume is just insane, right? So I do kind of have like a highlighted expanding channel. I mean, this is just to more so give you a visual aid as to how extended this is, how big of a move this is. and that it could really pull back quite a bit. The only shot we have for a short here on AJ would be to confirm structure at the 38.2 right here, and then reject pretty hard off the 79. Honestly, if we don't see this happen, I'm going to be very hesitant on shorting because of how far this could pull back, right? If this is the real low and this is a real reversal happening right now, this thing could pull back quite a bit. Honestly, even all the way back up to here and still be generally bearish, right? Because this is where broken structure was, all the way up here around 80.75. So that's just something to be aware of. You know, if we do get above 79 and really clear this second trade path, you should be definitely suspicious. You know, it's definitely going to try and push up to this level before we see our next lower high. Just kind of how it is. We are so low on this. So yeah, we'll see if this plays out. I mean, we're aware of, you know, both ways this could go, and we're going to be patient. We're definitely going to be patient for it. So that's AJ. Let's move over to UJ. This one's interesting as well. Again, you know, similar trend you guys are going to see is that the volume has just been insane. It's absolutely nuts. So let's just grab the trend from the daily. Overall bullish. However, we are consolidating pretty heavy, but still generally bullish, right? Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. Technically, you know, higher low right here, and then it's just kind of maintaining. So we'll see where it goes, but let's go to the 4-hour now. So bullish on the daily. Okay. I know there's a lot of lines this week because I got fibs on a lot of charts, but it's sometimes fibs are needed. I use them more so in weeks like this because after a huge move, a lot of volume, I really want to get a measurement on where my structure areas are, right? 38.2, 61.8 specifically. And I really just want to make sure that the trade lines up with those levels, especially after an impulse move, because, you know, when there's a large volume move, and then you can get tripped pretty easily into a bad trade if you're not careful. Okay, so sometimes I'll throw these fibs on for just a little extra confirmation, a little more you know, visual aid to play into that week. Okay, so here on the 4-hour, we know we're overall bullish, but what do we notice off the bat on this 4-hour time frame? Right, we're seeing lower lows for the most part, these three, and we're not seeing higher highs. Right, resistance is pretty much capped right here at 110.5. Where's that? Where's my label? Oh, I used to have a 110.5 label. Somebody took it. Let's put another one in. Let's put another one in. So 110.5. It doesn't want to snap to that level. There we go. Okay, so 110.5 has been pretty much where the wicks have gone into the highest points of these peaks, and it's held as resistance up until now, right? But we also know that we have 110 as a key level. This is a higher time frame level. And price actions, again, has been dancing around that. So more or less, it's been respecting this entire area up here as resistance. And then we're seeing massive rejection off that area. But for the first time, or well, actually the real second time, we're seeing what could be a real lower high below 110, which is exactly what we want to see before a large push to the downside. And we saw that over here. This was a lower low. You know, assuming that this type of pattern here continues, we're looking for the same thing, a lower low. Right, first stop 109.15, second stop 108.45, near our negative 27% fib level. Okay, now we're not going to enter yet. We need to see a break of this level right here because this actually is lower time frame consolidation. You guys can see this. I'll make this yellow. See how price action is kind of trapped and there's wicks going both ways, downside, downside, upside wicks, 200 EMAs creeping in as well, and we're actually between the EMAs. This is not tradable. You want to wait for this to break. The consolidation itself is good. It's showing that we're holding below resistance after a sharp rejection, but we need to follow through. So ideally, let me just grab this little brush tool. I just want to see a break lower. Even if it doesn't retest, you know, it could retest in the form of a wick, right? Nice little wick like that. You could enter on that. Some sort of just clear break of this level, even a bearish variation. That's what we want to see before entering. And then again, first stop would be 109.15. Second stop would be down here. It'd be a pretty good trade, pretty good risk reward on this. Yeah, not bad. So that's what the most likely is for this week, that it's just going to continue with this trend on the 4-hour here. But if it goes bullish, let's say it breaks to the upside, we need to see a clear higher low above 110 and then we'll consider longs. Okay, because what do we notice in the past? We don't really have really that strong of higher lows. This is kind of weak right here. Not that much consolidation, kind of just continued. This one was better. This one was pretty good, but you need something a little more significant. This is a weak example here as well. So something strong, significant, nice, good higher low there that we could then follow through on. And that'd be a decent UJ trade. Hold on, we got a question here. How come you wouldn't wait for 110 to clear to take longs? Well, I kind of just explained that with the higher lows because this is a higher time frame zone right now. 110.5. This is more of a 4-hour. This is more of a daily, let's say, and these could just be attempts. The real zone that's got kind of gravity around the price action, you could say, is 110. My price action, these are just attempts. Price action is finally making the reversals just past this 110 level before it's coming back. So we really want to see a strong higher low above 110. Then we can gain the confidence, right? I mean, by all means, you could wait until you see a higher low above 110.5, but you don't necessarily need to. You're going to see these 4-hour confirmations before this, up here. So you really want to see just a higher low above 110. Okay. Yeah. Confirmations of daily zones over 4-hour zones have priority. And if there's enough confirmation there, that'd be good. So we'll see. We will see. But that's UJ. Let's move over to EJ, daily time frame. Just look for the overall trend here. Okay, so we were bullish for quite a while. Very, very strong trend. Nice reversal around the weekly, right at 132.7. So here's another good example of that too, because like when we have these larger time frame zones, price action is not going to stop exactly on the pip. They're more so an area to be aware of and be aware that there could be a potential reaction. So at this weekly zone, what did we see happen? This is more or less like a little head and shoulders, even on a 4-hour, it looks more like it. A nice reversal. The neckline was actually the weekly or around there. Then we finally broke it, went bearish at that point, nice lower high, and then lower lows, lower highs, and so on and so on. We do see some consolidation now, and then it broke lower. So it looks like it's still very bearish, right? We're looking to continue with that trend. Next zone is going to be our target at 127.5, right in line with our negative 27% fib level. So with that information, let's drop down. And let's see what EJ on the 4-hour is looking like. Okay, so we have all of this in view now. Good. Okay, so we had a nice pattern here, a nice continuation. The thing broke really well, nice engulfing for the break. And then, obviously strong bearish variations to follow. So that was a good continuation, especially since we saw the pattern forming right at 130. Nice lower high there, and then just followed through. So we do see some consolidation now at this low, but no structure. So we really just want to see this pullback, hit the 38.2. This is probably the cleanest trade that I've analyzed so far. This would just be absolutely perfect, right? Nice pullback, rejection at 38.2. And then we could enter on some bearish variations and then target lower. Yeah, this should be a really good trade. Let's mark this one up just for the sake of risk to reward. See where we're at. Okay, and right now it's going to be an estimate because obviously we don't know exactly where candle confirmation is going to form, but let's just say generally this area, it's going to be, we'll be generous here, right? We'll say 45 pips for 125. So that's pretty good. Pretty good trade. Oh, we just got shifted. Close enough. 277 risk to reward. Pretty good. Definitely over a 2-to-1 target. So that's obviously ideal if it plays out this way. However, if it breaks above 120, 128.9, gives us a higher low, it may be pushing back up to this 130 handle. Okay, so I mean, there could be an opportunity there. That would be riding a lower time frame trend if we saw this transition occur. And we'd probably be on the looking for more confirmation on the 1 hour, 30-minute, just trying to catch a shorter term trade back up to this 130 handle. So that's EJ. Looking pretty good either way. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. But I'm looking forward to this short if it does. That'd be really, really nice. Good amount of pips there. All right, so that's EJ. Let's move on to gold. I actually didn't post this one because we are still here on the daily. And I figured I would just get into a little more detail with you guys here on the call itself. All right, so actually, let's just zoom out a little bit. Let's get the trend. Overall, on the daily here, we have been pretty bearish, right? I mean, just look at this whole section here, right? Lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. Just key characteristics of a downtrend. Even this here, this huge rally. I mean, yes, that's a huge bullish channel, but still, this is a lower high in comparison to this, right? Then again, here we have a lower high in this mid trend. So we're definitely bearish, right? And we also are below 1800, which is proven to be a very key level in the past, acting as both support and resistance. And in this case, hopefully, because we're looking to ride the trend, it's going to continue to act as resistance. So let's drop to the 4 hour now and get a closer look. We know we're definitely bearish here on the daily. We are a little bullish on the 4 hour, and this could be more or less a flag right now. Let's just see. Let's just start highlighting some patterns, see how this is playing out. See what we could spot, guys, right? Okay. Looks a bit like a flag. Yeah, pretty good. Not a high volume flag or anything. I mean, this is a pretty large flagpole. You'd like to see this be a little bit bigger. Usually flags are continuation patterns, but I'm not that convinced at this on this particular one. Where's my label at? I had 18. There it is. Jeez.
That
1800.
guy's labels running away on him.
Yeah, I mean, it's because it's adjusted to the daily. Need your labels, guys. Right? I'll let you guys know. So yeah, 1800 here. We are still below this, and how price action reacts here is going to determine a lot, right? So let's honestly just forget the pattern itself. This consolidation needs to end for us to figure out what we're going to do. There actually is a small level right here as well. Minor level that is getting pressured. Just make this blue real quick, a little darker. There you go. Okay, so to enter short on this, this is what I need to see. I'm gonna go with a trade path on this one. I need to see a decent break, some sort of conviction candle, which means it needs to be the candle essentially to set off this trend, right? This push lower. It needs to set it off. So it has to be a decent sized candle. It has to have little to no wick. It just has to really show a clean and significant break of this zone on the 4 hour. And then any sort of retest and then strong characteristics of a downtrend, that's what we're looking to enter on. Lower lows, lower highs, boom, we're in looking for the next lower low. Okay, so that could be a nice little gold short opportunity. Definitely looking like that. But if it does break to the upside, it'll probably put us back into this range between 1825 and 1800. Again, there are trades there if you like trading ranges. I don't recommend it. I personally don't mind waiting for the real trade to play out. But if this happens, we'll have to assume that we're back in the range, and then you could enter on some higher lows and target towards 1825. So it's a 200 pip spread if you're getting in from 1800. Gold can be pretty profitable that way. Depends on your strategy. But for us to be completely bullish on gold, considering the trends, it's really got to get above 1825. Because as you guys saw on the daily, this was obviously a huge range. And if price action is to get above this or to break this range, again, we just need to see higher lows above that level. All right, but we don't have to worry about that yet. Still looking very much bearish. And we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. All right, so that's gold. Covered quite a few for you guys and put them out. DXY, AU, AJ, UJ, EJ, and gold. But yeah, nothing really that close to an entry. Just going to have to wait. Hopefully we'll get something in the next day or so. But yeah, guys, thanks. And I'll pass it off to Angelo for his.
All right, cool. So I'm going to cover the major pairs. Like Nick said before, if you guys got any questions, feel free to hit the chat and we'll go over it. But I'm going to get started doing Euro USD. I actually didn't publish an analysis for this one, so we're just going to do this one pretty much together. We'll just start up on the weekly time frame. I'm just going to remove all this. So on the weekly, the main thing that I'm looking for is just where are my key levels here of support or resistance. Looking left here, we can see that price really struggled all along this area. We have resistance here, ended up falling off. We had it act as support here, ended up pushing up, act as support there. And we're back in this zone right now. We're back in this little range right here. As we come down and look at actual price action, we have price forming these lower lows and lower high points. So EU is trending down for sure. Last week closed with a little bit of a wick, but as we come down to the 4-hour time frame, we can clearly see that the trend has been very bearish, although it has been very choppy. So we've had these lower lows and lower high points being formed over and over again. And as you can see here, got very choppy at the bottom, ended up pushing up to this like higher high right here, pretty much, or just retesting this previous lower high. And then we have the next low, this lower high, and then this is where we're currently at. So look at the theme here. Pretty much if we wanted to get on a swing trade, look left, previously we're at a low. We're at a low, we just kind of shot up with a lot of bullish volume. So where would be the next point at which I'd look for a new sell opportunity? It's gonna bring on the fibs, try to map things out and see kind of where we're at. And to me, I mean, right now, the fibs line up with this previous low. So we have this low point over here. And obviously this was also this like lower, little mini lower high. So I'm really looking for price to come into this zone. We'll just mark it down with this on the 4-hour time frame. This is definitely a key little resistance area. If price can get up to this zone and find some resistance, then I'll be looking to take a short on EU. And we also have this resistance level above here. So I'm just trying to continue with the trend, not do anything too crazy here. So this would be entry number 1 would come right in this area. And then entry number 2, because of the fact that we have this big resistance level up here, is if price does manage to get back into this zone, then this is where entry number 2 would be. So we're gonna map both of these out, change the stop losses up a little bit. Obviously, we'd end up targeting a bit lower. We could look left for where we would actually target. We could bump up to the weekly time frame. And we can see here, these are pretty much the lows. So I'm just gonna map this out. So whenever you're trying to figure out like where should you target your take profits, guys, just bump up time frames depending what time frame you're actually trying to take the trade on. So you can see down here, this would definitely be one of our TPs, would be down in this zone. And you could obviously also use your fibs. So you can just bring on your fibs, and you could also use that -27 as well as your target. So I'll target somewhere in the middle there. It doesn't have to be anything too crazy. If it comes down to this level, we're going to look to close anyway, because as we can see here, for trade number 1, it's a 2.5 risk reward. We could just put it down at this level. We want to be really conservative with this. We could put stops all the way above here, and it's still a 2-to-1 risk reward trade, but we're utilizing this like other resistance level. And then if we want to wait for price to come all the way up into this zone right here, particularly I would look to enter in this area because we have support, we have resistance. So this is an area where price previously rejected pretty well. And then we have obviously a nice 3.4 risk reward. We could move stops up a little bit just to give ourselves some room. So these are sort of the 2 trade ideas that I have for EU. I'm not gonna take a long opportunity though until price really gets above like this 1.174 area. Price just all of a sudden starts to surge all the way above here. This is like idea number 3, is if price actually does make it above the resistance. So this would be, we'll tag this out. This would be trade number 1 will be right here. This will be trade number 2, and then that'll be trade number 3, but we're not going to actually put that on because I don't think that's actually going to happen. So let's EU, let's bump over to GU. Let's see if it lines up at all. Let's start up on the weekly time frame. Remember, on the weekly, we're always just looking for 2 things. Thing number one is going to be, what are our levels? What are the key levels on the weekly time frame? I've got one mapped here at about 1.3, and then I've got another mapped at 1.42. So we're just in the middle of these two zones. These are just significant levels we could expect some reversal off of. So look at last week now. The second thing we look at is just price action. So last week closed very bearish, barely any wick at the bottom. So obviously a lot of sellers are in the market. And as we come down to the 4-hour time frame, we zoom out a little bit. We could even bump up to the daily just to clean this up a little bit more. Just looking at this area right here, we can see that we're kind of double bottoming. So we're hitting a previous low point. I am expecting a reversal. And then as we look kind of right now, we can see this would be a good zone for price to pull back to then continue with the actual overall trend. So clearly the overall trend is very bearish, but we can't really do anything right now. We can't take a sell. We're so low right now. So what I'm actually looking for is like an intraday kind of like buy. So buying this one, going long into that level, because I'm not trying to sell this thing unless we actually get below the support right here. We could actually move this over a little bit so we can make it more realistic of a trade for the week. But again, I'm not trying to sell anything unless price does get below this support level, because of the fact that if we look left, this is that previous level that price shot up off of. So we'll see. We'll see if price manages to break below there. It's going to be a very simple trade. We'll just do it on the break and wait for some sort of retest. And then this would be pretty like wild if it did actually break out of this, because there's just so much room that this thing could fall. I mean, I would just start to target. The target realistically would be down here, our next weekly level, but we have to utilize like these previous support levels first. We'd have like one target here, we'd have one target here, and then ultimately the biggest target would be down to that area. So this could be a huge trade, looking at this to go lower, but I do believe that it's going to pull back based on this zone, based on how price action's forming. I think the more immediate trade is going to be a pullback. And if we come down to the 15-minute, we can already see price move down, made this lower high, move down, lower high, and then now we're just starting to get like super choppy, and we are refusing to break lower, and now we're actually breaking a little bit higher. So I'm not trying to come down to the 15-minute and take a trade right now, but if I was, this would be the trade to take. It would be targeting a long opportunity on this one, and then I would be taking the trade until we swung all the way up into this area. So this is definitely a trade idea. If you guys see the confirmation, this would be the trade. So I'd put my stops. You even go as far as putting your stops down here. And if I do see this kind of pull back and play out, then I might even signal it inside of the Telegram. But I think it'd be better to just go with the trend. We always want to trade with the trend. Trend is your friend. So that's my idea on GU. Let's go to UCAD next. This one is really we can't really do much with UCAD right now because of how last week went off. So just looking at the weekly time frame, we can clearly see these lower lows, lower highs, push down, all these lower highs here. And then finally, we're getting a reversal. So the trend is definitely shifting to the upside, but we're coming into a very serious level of resistance. So this 1.3 to 0.250 area, 0.500, this area, look how many times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times they rejected this area. We're coming back up into that zone. Last week already wicked from here, but there are a ton of buyers in this market. So I'm just looking for the pullback. I'm just looking for the pullback here. As we can see previously, this was that last high point right over here. So then we pushed down, had the pullback, ended up hitting the low. This is not like pretty right here, but then we ended up reversing and shooting up. But we're going to look for something very similar to that. And the first area obviously is just looking for the retest of this high point. So I'm gonna just mark this right here. So this would be a nice zone for price to come into and to find support. And if we bring on the fibs, just to bring on some additional like confirmations here, we can see that this is right near that 38.2 area as well. So it's two confirmations. And if we get some sort of bullish price action, then that would be a third confirmation here. So this thing is just far away. You know, it's got to move for me to make a decision about 30 more, 40 more pips down. And then we got to wait for confirmation. So this could be a day away, you know, several candles away from actually coming into a zone that I want to trade in. So I'm gonna just move that down. The watch list. USEF is a little bit closer. Let's just go through each time frame. And again, when trades are here, you know, they are you know, it's very easy to spot. Like we don't need to do all this work. Like UCAD is like, oh, we got to wait for this, wait for that. Like if a trade is ready, then we can clearly spot it out and we can confidently take a position. We don't need to create a trade opportunity, you know, out of thin air. So looking at USEF, I thought of a little bit more like a better example or just a better trade idea. So looking at the weekly time frame here, we can see that we have our two zones. We have this upper zone right here where we have all this resistance right here, resistance here. We had some support in this zone. Then looking back, mainly we had this zone marked on this area right here. And then we have our lower zone down here, which has multiple touches on this point, support all along this level of resistance, support along this level. So we are just in the middle of these two zones right now. And then look how price action is forming. We have these wicks to the upside. So these are all reversal candles. So this thing is like primed to kind of come down. We just have to wait for a little bit more confirmation here. We already had the initial break. And this is like a great entry. If you were to get have gotten this on the break and retest, this thing broke this level and then retested it like to the dot. And then now we're, you know, waiting for the next move. We're starting to consolidate. This on a lower time frame is certainly not a bullish pattern. You know, it's starting to form kind of this like descending triangle right here. So normally the bottom will break out of this because of these lower highs forming. So that's the trade that I'm looking for, is I'm looking on USEF for a break of the support level. Once this breaks, I'll simply set a limit order right at this level and try to just get it, because the risk reward is really good on this. You could be as aggressive as moving it down to 4.0, or you could be as conservative as just positioning at like 2-to-1 right here. So I think we have a good trade idea coming up. First TP would be 9,100, and then second TP would be all the way down back to the weekly level. So I'm gonna put my stops in around 3-to-1. You know, I'm not gonna be too crazy. I don't think we need to put stops all the way above there. But yeah, this is one that is definitely looking like more likely to happen earlier than later. So let's take a look at NU. This is another one where it just, you know, shows us enough to have a good trade idea. So on the weekly time frame right here, you can clearly see that the weekly is bearish. You know, we broke support. Now we just had this large push down last week. You know, we're right at like a support and resistance level, and we're kind of below it right now, but we're super overextended. So we're very overextended. This thing looks like it's due for a pullback. So let's go down to the 4-hour. As we go down to the 4-hour, we know that we need it to pull back, right? This thing has got to pull back. We're all the way at this low point. But at the same time, you know, looking at the 4-hour, we are getting a pattern to form. So it's starting to form this rectangle pattern. We have this bottom level tested twice. We have the upper level tested, not once, twice, 3 times. So I'm looking at this as a rectangle, and we're only going to take actual sells on this once it breaks out of the rectangle. So right now we're just waiting. It's obviously pushing up. If it rejects the top here and comes down and then breaks the rectangle, this will be a fairly simple trade to take, because we know the next zone is down here. from the weekly. And we know that like price is consolidating right now. We're overall in a very bearish trend, so we're trading with the trend. So price will most likely get sucked down to this like next level, this next like 67,500 area from where it is now. On the flip side, I'm not going to take longs on this unless we get all the way above like this 6,900 level. Yeah, a little below there, 6,800, 6,850, like this zone, right? I'm not going to take a long unless we form a legitimate higher low. And then I'll take a long and I'll be able to get like my stops to break even if it does move. So yeah, let's just take a look because we have multiple ideas here. We have USEF where we're looking to go short. So we're looking at basically the dollar to be weak. And you were looking to go short. So we're looking for the dollar to be stronger. GU, we're looking to go long more immediately. So we're looking for the dollar to be weak. So we have like multiple different ideas. And if we come over and just look at our good old friend DXY, let's take a look at what this thing is doing. Let's just bump up to the weekly time frame. So DXY is on a little bit of an ascension here. It's been moving up since June, and now last week we had this large push up above the resistance level. This 93 zone is a very key zone. So coming down to here, coming to the 4 hour, now that we broke above the resistance, we need this thing to find support back at this 93 level. This thing has been respecting 93, finding support at 93 for the past year. So I'm looking at 93 as a key level. As you can see, it has a lot of room to push down right now. It could push down about 0.5%, 40 pips. And if this thing pushes down, what that means is we'll probably get NU pushing up. We'll probably get USEF pushing down. You know, the dollar's tanking. Probably get GU pushing up. And then once DXY makes its correction and finds support, that's when you'll see, you know, maybe this EU trade play out. We have EU shooting up. We need it to come up a little bit more. Maybe it'll come all the way up to our second entry. And then boom, we can come down and actually get in on that trade. So that's just kind of how to use DXY to correlate with your trades. Let's go with GJ. Let's just keep it very simple with this one. GJ came all the way up here to this high point, and we were mapping this out. We were mapping this out on GJ and on GU, I believe, but it's like basically head and shoulders pattern that was up here, and we were looking at this to potentially be the right shoulder. And now we finally like broke out of this pattern, which to me was kind of unexpected. I was, before the last 3 weeks, when this candle formed, I was expecting it to shoot up. But then, if you've been following the calls, pretty much we had these two candles form, showing us a lot of rejection, you know, a lot of indecision, and then we had to push down, and then last week. So this is a move that we call it in the signals, we call it on the accounts. You know, this was a pretty easy move, just based on how we look at things. And then coming to the 4 hour now, when are we going to want to short this thing again? Because it's obviously very bearish. And quite simply, we're going to want to try to short it right here. This is the previous low. So this is that previous low point. Boom. And then if we actually do a little fib, you can see we're also near like a fib level there. So this is my trade idea on GJ, guys. I'm going to actually put a limit order here. I'm going to target back to this low. So we're going to look left. I'm going to target back to this low point right here. And I'm always make sure that I'm at least 2-to-1 risk reward. So I got some room for it to push up if it does. But this is my trade idea on GJ. So that's all the pairs I've got for you guys. GJ, NU, USEF, GU, EU, and UCAD. So we went over a ton of shit for everyone, ton of pairs. Best of luck this week to everyone. If you want to get in on the rapid signals, they're 30% off this week. So if you guys are interested, you get in on a very cheap price. And yeah, a lot of things going on. So I'm going to do another update inside the Telegram in the group. But that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it, guys. Another Sunday market blitz. Bucket hats coming soon. So you guys can all get your own too.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, another good session, boys.
Oh,
Everybody.
Yeah. Another
stuff.
good, yeah, another good session. Bucket hats. We got a bunch of shit coming soon. You know what I'm
Yeah, good
saying?
stuff.
We
It's
got
exciting. Fall's
we
looking good, guys.
we got things in the works. The summer's wrapping down. You know, people are gonna be back working and focusing on everything. So, you know, it's gonna be interesting end of the year how everyone finishes. And like I said in the little video today, guys, stay focused. You guys can make shit happen.
Oh, yeah, guys. All right, enjoy the rest of the weekend and have a great trading week, guys.
Oh yeah, and we'll be back. We'll be back on Friday. You
Yeah.
know, why
Always.
not? Back on Friday. We'll go over everything and we'll catch you guys then.
Yeah, we love it. It's good
Peace
stuff.
out. Peace out, everybody.
Peace, guys.